I'm Junon. I founded the group back in 2023 because community is something I needed. The group currently has grown to close to 1,100 individuals, from retired individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners, and people that just want to feel inspired and connected. We've partnered with Fox Point Farms every Friday at Feel Good Friday at 9 o'clock. Come join us. It's a beautiful community. Come and feel inspired, feel supported, and maybe you can inspire someone too. Let's connect. Welcome to the Heart of the Matter podcast. I'm Junon.
Hi, I'm Dr. Liesel, and I'm so pleased to be here at Four Moon Spa with the owner, Letha Sandison. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for being here. And we're sponsored by Bubs Naturals. And so basically for every one of our guests, we give you kind of the gift, and we've got electrolytes, obviously.
Excellent.
Collagen peptides and some apple cider vinegar gummies.
That's so nice. Thank you. I love Bubs, so I will definitely use these. Thanks, Bubs.
Amazing. Thank you, Bubs.
We love Sean Lake.
Yes, we
I
do.
know. And Heather.
And
of course.
we love you. I mean, it's amazing. Thank you again for doing the podcast. When was the last time we spoke? As far as
oh my gosh, too long. Well, we spoke at the group maybe after we sat down and had tea. So, but I mean, it's probably been a year.
Yeah.
So, which is shameful.
Yeah, it is. But it's because you're busy. You're doing a lot of great things.
We're trying.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too is when we had to sit down too, it blew me away, your story of like where you've come from, what you're creating, and what kind of your mission is. Can you kind of go back to, where this kind of all started as far as this mission is?
So I'm trying to think of where to begin that journey because it's such a continuum for me. But I had been living in Uganda, working in nonprofit, and I kind of was thinking about what's next. And the nonprofit I was running was a pediatric cancer nonprofit, which, as you can imagine, in sub-Saharan Africa is a fairly intense experience. Beautiful. I loved every minute of it, but I was really at that point in my life looking to shift into something different and not be in Africa so much time. And just thinking, I'm a service-based person. Service and community are sort of at the core of who I am and what matters to me. So I was like, how can I still be of service, but maybe in a different way? How is this evolving for me? And so that was the beginning. And one of the things I think that you really experience as an expat, particularly in a place like Uganda, is the expat community. It's so close. It's so tight. You really need each other. I mean, from everything from everyone with a type O blood, get down to the surgery. There's a car accident. We've got to stabilize somebody to and get to Nairobi or to, anything. It's just your community is everything because of lack of infrastructure. And it's such a tight knit thing. And I had left when there was no such thing as social media. And I came back 4 years into social media.
Wow.
I felt like such a Martian. I was like, what is happening? Everyone, I would look and I just saw everyone on their phones. And I still had a brick phone that I'm like, A, B, like you're trying to get to the letters. And so it felt like such a different world to return to. And like everyone was in their own world, and so I just thought, oh my gosh, after living in a tribal culture, humans are happiest and healthiest when we're in community. It's a really important piece of our makeup and how we function. And I think COVID sort of bore that out. Now we're kind of, I don't know if we're still in it, but there was a lot of talk post-COVID about this loneliness epidemic that I think is, in part COVID and in part the way we're living and being on our phones. And I just thought, let's create a space where community can gather. We can be like a cheers kind of idea. It's like, I want to be a place where people are like, what is Four Moons doing tonight? Do they have an event on, or they come and hang out, really leaning into, I think over the last couple of years, we've been leaning into kind of being a third space. It's like, come hang out, like read a book. We want to have multiple reasons for people to be here and engage. And so that's.
Wow. Well, so it's kind of going back even further though, what called you to go to Africa? Because that's a bold move. That's not something you just decided.
Completely.
Yeah.
It was. It's funny because I think I had always had this awareness that my story was going to include some of that. My dad, I think, secretly wished he was Indiana Jones and made everything an adventure. And we always would talk to me about other cultures and other places. And so he instilled in me this intense intellectual curiosity, I think, and love of other cultures, and all my grandparents are from somewhere else. So I already had that kind of awareness too. And then I met my husband, and he is a physician, and he said, I want to work with diseases of poverty. So I'm thinking I want to be in Africa. And I said, okay. And so we were together from day one of medical school. So I had 4 years to really think about how that would manifest for me. Like, what will I do in Africa, and how can I be of service? I didn't want to be a lady that lunches. A lot of people move there and play mahjong, and that's one experience, but it wasn't the experience for me, you know? And so I just started really doing a lot of exploring about what I could do there to be useful. And you know, I had been managing the art department for the Seattle Times, and so I'm interested in artists and artisans, and so I just thought, gosh, there's such a robust arts vibrant, you know, creative community there. And I thought, well, there's something in there. And I knew when I moved there, I would find something that you had to be on the ground to identify. You know, I was like, I need a project that I can manage with my resources and my skill set. I'm not going to compete with HIV or some very entrenched system, but there's going to be something that is off the radar that I can get into and help. And when I got cancer, was definitely off the radar. Nobody was thinking about it, talking about it at all. And so I created a clothing line teaching people to sew, to provide jobs for cancer patients and their families. And then with the profits from the clothes, we paid for chemotherapy for kids.
Wow.
And picking something that is off the radar was a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. It didn't occur to me. There were no grant structures. There was no awareness. There was no sort of obvious way to get resources and support. But also Livestrong called me within 6 months, and they're like, we're having our first global cancer summit. We can't find people working on access to care except you. You come and speak. And I was like, wow. And then I got partnered with like the Clinton Foundation, and it was just, you know, kind of took off from there. And so it was a really rewarding experience for me to be in Africa and have, you know, I just feel like I had one of the best experiences in a way, because I worked with everybody
amazing.
who like walked out from the village and, you know, went home and were sustenance farmers, to people who had, you know, were highly educated. I had this experience in the community that I think is quite unique. You know, my husband only worked with physicians, and I was, you know, going to funerals and graduations and dinners. And, you know, I just really feel so honored to have been as entrenched in the culture as I was.
It's incredible. What year was that you first moved to Uganda?
2006, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you
2006,
return?
2011.
Amazing.
All right, we've done a great job of branding the group and Heart of the Matter. We've grown to close to 600 people. Now, how do we market this? How do we get out there? Do we do SEO? How do we get the news out there?
Coast News Group.
Yeah.
So when you said about coming back to a country with social media and cell phones, that is literally like a fiction movie
Yeah,
in your real life.
it really was. Yeah, I couldn't have
how
left at a
opposite.
different time. Yeah, it was very strange. It really, and there was a whole lexicon and language. Like I'd go to lunch with friends, like when I was visiting, and they'd be like, people don't say this anymore, but like, I'll tweet you. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
It was like all these words. They're like tweets and Kardashians. And I remember us saying to my friend, I'm like, what are all these words? She's like, I'll explain the tweets. Don't worry about the Kardashians. Like it was like, but to me, it was all like all this language that I had never heard, because I wasn't experiencing television. I had the BBC World Service radio. That was it for pop culture intrusion into my world. And so that's a really cool thing. It was like this very interesting energy cleanse for 4 years, to have very little pop culture intrusion into what's going on in your day or in your psyche, you know.
It's kind of like a reset. I mean,
it was
really
such a reset. And I loved that my son got to grow up in that, in a way. It was so beautiful to, you know, just the things he got to experience. I'm profoundly grateful for it. It wasn't always easy. I mean, it was a lot of, we didn't have continuous running water. We didn't have continuous power. I lived with a headlamp on and about 1 million mosquito bites at every particular time, but such an amazing experience.
Well, I can definitely see that. I mean, you have such a good culture, and your mission here at Four Moons is, again, I applaud you for that. And to be able to see the different cultures. I mean, was that a huge impact on you to see that?
Definitely.
Even though they didn't have much, I mean, were they happier?
Yeah, and Uganda is unique in that way, I think, in East Africa, because they were never technically a colony. They were a protectorate because the malaria rates were so high. The British were like, we're going to own you, but we're going to kind of leave you alone.
Blessing.
Whereas in Nairobi, you kind of had a much more, I mean, a very robust colonial structure. Same in Tanzania, to a lesser degree, Ethiopia. They had a minute with the Italians, but so that creates like haves and have-nots and sort of more cultural kind of. I don't want to use the word oppression. That's right, but I want to keep it like, but it's more culture intrusion, I guess, and sort of like in Nairobi, like they're told, there's a structure, and Africans are acting a certain way within that structure, whereas in Uganda, it was still, it was still very tribal, it was still very normal. I think so. Ugandans are joyful and happy and fun and yeah, just warm and like, laughing a lot. And so I really enjoyed my time there. I mean, it was not without complications. Like we had the time I lived there was when the Lord's Resistance Army was really active in the north of the country. I don't know if you guys remember that. The Night Walkers and the Invisible Children. That was in the country I was living in. And so you had a lot. I mean, the month I moved there, you had all that happening in the north, and then Congo was exploding. So we had like 30,000 refugees flood into the city. And, Rwanda was kind of having some challenges at that time. So you're like between Congo, Sudan, Rwanda, in the north of the country, it was a lot of intensity for me to kind of observe and see the repercussions of and try to sort of transmute that and learn how to sort of live with that as a part of your reality.
Right. Was there any pushback for you being there, being a foreigner in the country?
I never had that. But I really went with the energy and the spirit of trying to have a student's mindset. I think a lot of times people have ideas about well-intended, but I've seen a lot, and in the research I was doing, a lot of people have ideas about projects, and the idea is like, oh, here's this great project, you're going to love it, I'm going to retrofit it into this culture. And I think that's gotten a lot better. I mean, over the last, couple of decades, but at the time that I was researching that, I think that was pretty common. This idea of like, here's how we can help your community, your society, your culture, and fix it. And so I knew there was so much I didn't know. And so I just really went with a student's mindset. I'm like, you have to go and just let this experience teach you anything you're supposed to, and just be really open and just like take it all in and observe, because it was such an enormous shift and change that I knew whatever I thought in my mind, like, oh, this is going to be what's difficult, or this is going to be a challenging dynamic. All the things that I thought were going to be super hard turned out not to be so tough. Right. And all the things I had no way to anticipate were the things that were just like crushing, or like, that I really had to work to figure out. And so, but I kind of had done that prep work a little bit. Right. And so, I always, especially with other cultures, I always go as like, just really trying to learn.
Sure.
And so I didn't have that pushback. But there's definitely a reticence of like, I think some people are used to people starting things and leaving when it's inconvenient. And so there's trust that you build over time, and, by showing up and being present and, doing what you say you're going to do and all those things. And so that sort of built over time for sure.
So then was it difficult to actually leave when it was time to leave, or?
It was really hard. And it wasn't a real decision. I came home for what I thought was our 5-week summer holiday. And I just looked at my husband picking my son and I up in the airport. And I was like, what did you do? I was like, know him very well. Right. He's like, I took a job. I'm like, you are looking at a job, or did you take? He's like, no, I had to take it. And I understand why he did, but it was really hard and devastating. And I wasn't ready. It's expensive to replace positions. It's difficult to find what you need in country sometimes. And if you import it, you're having to pay school fees and flights. And for me, every dollar that was going to something like that wasn't going to chemotherapy for kids. And so it was a real challenge. But it ended up unfolding in like things do, right? Like I literally, this is a very privileged response to stress, but I took a week-long meditation course in Maui by myself. And I was like, here's your son. I'm going to go, I need to figure this out. And I just really prayed about it and felt into it. And then as soon as I did that and kind of got in, released this path forward in a different way, just like magically unfolded. And so it really came to a close for me in a very graceful way that I didn't anticipate, which kind of left me open to Start 4 Moons, because I didn't really know how that was going to go. And I felt so good about how that closure happened that I was like ready for another project. And it's when you do something like that too, that's so impactful and so special and so unique. You're like, what's my next move? You're not going to go work in a cubicle or something like that.
Right.
So I was like, what do I do now that's maybe a little less intense than pediatric cancer?
Well, yeah, that
You know?
right. Hey, can you believe we have 336 members now of the group?
I know.
That's
Crazy
growing
how
so much.
fast that was actually in a
Let's
year.
celebrate.
Okay, you're always wanting, look at that. Look how quick he is to celebrate.
Well, we have to celebrate.
What are you looking for though?
So that corkscrew.
Tune. Los Cuernos. No corkscrew needed. What do you want? You want a rosé? Red. Another red. But you want Chardonnay, I'm sure.
Chardonnay, just
Pop that open.
Well, I mean, again, I love your mission, but was it during that meditation process that you kind of had the idea, the beginnings of 4 Moons?
Yeah, I think initially it was just thinking about, there was some carryover that I was looking to do in terms of, again, being cause-based, having sort of a mission. And then I worked with kind of a side hustle, was working with a lot of artisans in community. And I ended up doing a lot of that work, just, working with USAID and bringing female-run small businesses to trade shows in New York, or being a part of that journey. And so I just thought, I know so many people doing amazing things. Can we, how can I still work with them a little bit? And
Right.
so initially I was thinking, oh, we'll do a community-based thing here. We'll do events and we'll sell their products. And, and that was sort of the early seeds of just trying to get community together, do fun events, have things to do that aren't, going to a bar at
Right.
night,
Mhm.
and can kind of get people talking and connecting. And then it sort of started very quickly to unfold into sort of what it is now.
That's beautiful. And I know you're coming up on your 10-year anniversary here at 4 Moons. Is that right?
Yeah.
So was that 2016 that,
Yep.
what was Lucadia like? What was Encinitas like
Yeah.
10 years ago?
I don't know that it's changed so much, or if I'm acknowledging that I am in a very small bubble that exists from the meditation gardens to Lucadia Boulevard, which is probably true to a degree. I mean, and in my defense, I moved here with a 2-month-old and was
Oh,
building a house and building a business. So my world has been very sort of focused. But yeah, I think Lucadia is, to me, a lot the same, with the exception of like the farmers markets moving, some of those things. But I think the culture of it is still the same to me. It's very, as you know, health and wellness focused, particularly
Sure.
Lucadia. It's very community focused, which I don't think I fully realized when I first kind of started. But that's great, because that's completely important to me, and so it felt like, oh my gosh, I serendipitously landed in this place that values community in the same way that I do. So yeah, I don't know that I can speak to major changes, which I think is kind of what we're all hoping for.
Right, sure.
If I'm honest, I think we're trying to keep that change, beat that flame back.
Minimal.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
That is a beautiful part about Lucadia, is it
Yeah.
is still the same town
Exactly.
versus like Encinitas, San Diego, Carlsbad even. Those are
Yeah.
the things that some of these buildings like don't really belong in that spot. How are you building?
Exactly. I think we'd like to keep it as small and rootsy. I mean, I think there are very few OG coastal California towns left.
Right.
They've all sort of,
Exactly.
it's expensive real estate. People,
Mhm.
of course, that drives so many things, but I think we've managed to keep it largely. There's some things happening, like Captain Kino's is gone. That's a
Oh,
big
I know,
thing.
right?
Gosh.
My son texted me, he was in San Francisco, and he's like, I'm talking to a guy with a Captain Kino's hat. I was like,
Yeah.
but I think those exceptions, I hope those are the exceptions and not the rule.
Right.
Exactly. When you found this location, did it call to you? Because a lot of times when I speak to people, and we speak to people that come out to Encinitas and Lucadia, we ask them, why did you pick here? And they said, I don't know, something just called to it.
Yeah.
Did you find this location? You were like, you
Yeah.
envisioned this honestly, oasis?
Well, a friend of mine who was worked with me originally in the beginning, and left the organization. We're not working together, but she had brought it to me as like, I think this should be the home of our new
Oh,
spot,
wow.
and introduced it to me, and it was like right away, and it was so funny too. As things again, I really believe things kind of unfold in the way they should. And sometimes like you have all your plans, we live in the world and we have our strategies and our plans and all the things. But then there is this element of like magic and unfolding, I think that
Right.
exists too. And I like to, like you just said, your woo woo and structure. But I think that's one of our connection points. That's totally me. I am very data and all that, but at the same time, I am very, woo woo as well. And so right when we kind of got here, we were originally just in a lower property, and very quickly I was like, oh, we're supposed to have the whole property.
Oh,
I
wow.
really felt like the land was like, thank you for coming. And was like, there was this evolution to it, but it's felt very divinely led, and there's been an element of magic, I think, through the whole thing. Just surviving COVID, I think, was
Right.
It's magic.
yeah.
Lots of magic here.
Yeah.
So what are some of the offerings that you have here at Fort Moon?
So we do have a full spa. So we do, massages and aesthetics and facials, and we have a beautiful water ritual area, which is, infrared sauna and soaking tub and outdoor shower, which is lovely. It really does make you feel like you're somewhere else. Like our outdoor shower is like got bougainvillea growing over it, and you're just like, am I on holiday somewhere? Which is what we like. You can't always get on holiday, but you can escape here and maybe get a little bit of that sort of relief or feeling. And we do classes and workshops and community events. Like we just did a makers market. We do about 3 or 4 times a year, which are really curated and try and support other local businesses. And we always have live music and food, mini sessions. And we have our moon healers. So that's a group of, healers and intuitives working together as well.
Yeah, well, I love it too. I mean, going back to heart-centered, I mean, you've been doing it since Africa, since before. I mean, even here, I love how collaborative you are, and you try to empower. We always talk about it. The group has 8,000 members. We've got 75% female base.
Oh, wow.
A lot
I
of
did
them are
not know that.
startups, a lot of different, founders, retired, whatever it is. But it's hugely important to me. That's why I have Lisa as my co-host as well. Kind of this drive, did you have a role model that kind of led you that way? Or you've always kind of been that person that empowers women to like really create?
Well, my mom, I think it comes from twofold. My parents were both wildly different and very interesting. My mom was like a early feminist. Like I grew up like being reared on Gloria Steinem, and my mom would be like, I remember being little at kindergarten, she's like, never turn your back on your rights or you'll lose them. I'm like, okay, mom,
Yeah.
She was very just aware of things like that. And my dad was like this, it's like growing up with a mix of like Jack Kerouac and Indiana Jones.
Oh.
And my dad was very bohemian, very like, live every experience, make sure you feel alive all the time, and, go and have adventures sort of thing. But then getting into my nonprofit, I had a lot of support, and I feel super honored and blessed to have organizations that sort of took me under their wing. And that's, and as a young person in my, career, I had some very, I think you can make or break your career with your early mentors.
Sure.
And sometimes people are not that supportive to their people that they're bringing up. And then I was so lucky. I worked for a consulting firm, and all the women were extraordinary, where they were, tough, but also like deeply in my corner. And so I feel like, those early jobs for me almost felt like business school in a way, because I had such good mentors and was able to take that. So I've always had people step up in my career and be there. And then when I started my own organization, they were there. I had organizations doing that. And that sort of, I think, served as this foundation. Plus just the natural, I want to make the world better, was probably parental,
Sure.
influence as well. But, so it's always been there in one way.
Right. Well, I mean, and we're seeing, we had a discussion before the cameras turned on about how we're kind of taking steps backwards as far as female empowerment. And so, again, I love the fact that you're trying to empower and giving the opportunities. We had Mika Peterson and Sarah Beebe on that, lead Salty Goddess Network, which helps empower women in their business and so on. So it's I mean, you're fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I really think that's becoming more and more important in this culture. Diversity and women, all the DEI things. It's never been great or equitable,
Sure.
but it's way worse now. And I think what we're doing with our Women's Table initiative, for me, is again, it's a natural extension of experience, right? So I was fortunate to go to the Clinton Global Initiative, and that was a really cool experience. So it was born out of this idea that you go to summits and gatherings, and everyone meets amazing people. They have great intentions, and they all go home, and you're swept up into your usual to-do list, and nothing actually ever changes. And so they really link change makers and capacity builders is the model. And so as a change maker, you have to make a commitment to action. And as a capacity builder, you have to make a commitment of what you're going to give to facilitate these changes. And so being a recipient of that, I was like, this is such a cool thing. How can we do this locally? And then I went to another group called the Funding Network, which was a group similar to the group. It's a bunch of people, but they all pay an annual fee, and then they do granting. And so they spend 6 months out of the year identifying organizations, selecting 2 or 3. Then they have an evening where the people who are members are just like having wine, catching up with their people, and then the groups present. And then they make you go to, this is the worst part, you have to go sit in a room while they decide who gets the money. And you're like, we don't even get a cocktail back here or a cocktail maybe. Like, we're just back here knowing we're being talked about. And then they allocate the funds. And so oftentimes people in the audience will give extra. There's no barrier to that, but it's just I think a beautiful, relatively easy way to get into philanthropy if you're inclined that way. So you're, rather than having to gift somebody thousands of dollars, you for $500 a year, but then the organizations, based on the numbers, are still getting meaningful grants that they can use to do things with. So it's kind of, we're still with our Women's Table kind of in our infancy, but I'm looking to those 2 models to figure out how can we work together. Because for me, after going through COVID and feeling pretty isolated and surviving that, if I hadn't had grant writing experience in nonprofit, I don't know that we would have. Like, I sat right down and started writing grants the day we closed. I was just like, what is out there? And just got really busy. I think I wrote like 14 grants or something.
Wow.
And then, so that was helpful. But I just thought, we're in an interesting time. There's a lot happening. It's a complex environment to be running businesses. It's even more complex for small businesses. I think we survive this by leaning into our community. Yes. I think community is the answer for so many things. And so it's like, how can that be more than lip service? How do we link arms, And small businesses never have enough resources to do all the things they want to do. They always need support. And so I think there's safety in numbers. Like, how can we take things and make them work for multiple people in one thing? So like maybe it's a photo shoot, and there's, a clothing person and a jewelry person and a photographer and a social media person and a content creator. So you can have one photo shoot that is, supporting like 6 different businesses or things like that, just getting really creative or sharing knowledge with each other. Right. So, so anyway, we've had 2 or 3 meetings with female-run businesses, and we're just trying to figure out, what is the structure of this group? Because I want it to be more than just I want it to be really practical. Like, what are the problems? And the more we know about each other, the better. Like, the more I understand your business and how I can help as me, how 4 Moons can help as an organization, like, how can we link arms to kind of get to the other side of the current weird climate?
No, absolutely. And the thing too is, I feel like it's funny because it isn't anything new. But the system puts us in that position of, women are here, men are here. This is how you're supposed to do business. This is how you're supposed to interact with people. And it really isolates people. And even the group, I always explain, the group it's the village mentality.
Yeah.
It's how civilization began. You realize that with a community, you can do anything and everything.
True.
And that's how it should be. Good times, bad times. There's a difference when you have a community behind you.
I know. I go back to Africa with that. It's like the idea of sitting under the mango tree. It's like there is no real structure there. So it's like if someone steals from you or something's going on, you don't bring it to the justice system. You bring it to the mango tree, and the tribe decides what's going to happen. And that is law, because the last thing you want is to be, extricated from the tribe. Like, you need the tribe to survive. And that's such a good lesson that I carry with me all the time. It's like you always go back to small community and local community. That's a great example of when there isn't, a great infrastructure, or if society's changing around you and there isn't support, from certain agencies or what have you, you have your people always. That doesn't change, and that's where the real power, I think, is.
How good was that episode?
So good. Let's celebrate.
Where do you want to go?
JoJo's Creamery.
Ooh, my favorite. Look at all the flavors.
They even have vegan.
Ooh, awesome.
Hi, welcome in, you guys.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
Good. Is there anything I can get started for you?
My go-to is peanut butter cup and coconut almonds.
I'm gonna do coconut mounds in a cup, please.
All right, that'll be $15.85.
All right. Wait, my wallet.
June, you can use repegs.
Oh, that's right.
And you guys get 2 free cookies with those.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Repegs is so easy to use. Thanks a lot. Yes.
Is the objective of Women's Table, I know we were talking about funding and where women-owned businesses can receive funding. Are the people in Women's Table starting out? Are they already looking to invest? Or what's the mix of the community?
Yeah, I think we have about 45 people that have joined so far, and we sent out a survey trying to find just that and figure out like, and also, you know, what do people want? You know, I don't want to pull something up a mountain. I want to be link arms with a group of women that are interested in sprinting farther together
Right.
faster, right? So this is outside of maybe what Four Moons is always doing. It's certainly part of our ethos, like being in community, but it's definitely a project. So I want to make sure it's one that's wanted. Again, going back to, it's like, I don't want to do a project if no one's into it. I got plenty of other things to do, you know? So we're still assessing like what do people want to do? Like, is there an appetite to create a granting arm of this, and what would that look like? And then where do people sit in their businesses? So how many people are solopreneurs? How many people have a brick and mortar? What kind of revenue brackets are they in? So we're just kind of getting that and looking at what those answers are. And then we kind of have ideas about how to structure things based on that. And I would like to go out and get community support for the granting and like, you know, different things.
Sure.
Incredible. Is that locally owned women's businesses, or does that scale throughout the state?
No, so far it's just local. So it's like, and you know, we have a really broad, you know, we're open to this broad idea of what local is. If you want to drive down from Orange County,
Right.
fine. If you're going to come up from San Diego, fine.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we can manage. It's just like, how do we lean in with our community? That's where we started. But again, I would never say no to someone in San Diego or somewhere else who wanted to come up and participate. So
That's huge. And what you said about your early mentors can make or break your business. You can be that group of mentors for some of these early businesses, because you're right.
Yeah.
I think some people don't even know where to start.
No.
And they're
No.
brilliant and they have it in them, but they
That's
just
right.
don't know who to ask.
Well, and the thing too is I feel like, again, the way everything's structured socially is you kind of hold everything in because you don't want people to think you don't know.
that's right. But it can be really isolating, I think. I think running a business can be very isolating. Whether you're in the challenges, I think we can be really hard on ourselves, particularly women. You know, we're pulled in so many directions. I think we always think we have to be perfect. I was listening to a different founder talk, and she's like, you know, a man will make a mistake and lose like thousands of dollars or run a business into the ground and start another business the next day and be like, well, that didn't work. I'm going to do something else. Whereas a female response to that is very like self-loathing and torturous. And actually societal response for females is different. It's like men get funded on ideas. Women have to prove the concept.
Right.
So it's just, there's this inequity that's baked in anyway. So I think you have this system, you know, or you have this situation where, you know, we're, you know, as females in business, business again can be isolating, intimidating, overwhelming, and you don't always want to share that. But just knowing someone's in the ring with you, you know, like I think there's a great quote from Brene Brown. She's like, if you're not in the ring getting bloody with me, I'm not interested in your opinion. And there's like some truth to that, right? Because it's like you have to have the same sort of risk and you're putting yourself out there in the same way, and talking to other founders who are putting themselves on the line, whether it's like taking loans out on your house to fund an initiative or whatever. That, I mean, that's real. That's what often women are faced to do. And they do it. It's been really cool to talk to so many women kind of going through those journeys in various ways.
Well, I love that you're acting as a mentor to a lot of these women, because we have 90 startup companies now, and a majority of them are female-based startup companies that started from the group. But the thing I'm seeing that's happening is a lot of times too, women, if they choose to be mothers and wives and that's it, and they do it until whether there's a big life event, divorce, empty nest, all of a sudden they have this fear because they want to start a business, but they only have a certain amount. So they have this kind of fear of taking a chance,
Mhm.
but they do have a passion for doing something, starting a business. I love that you're a resource for that.
I'm happy to talk to anybody. I'm a huge leaper. I'm like, I always think like cool things happen when you just take a
Right.
risk,
Yeah,
right?
same
I mean,
with me, yeah.
I think that's a really fun way to live your life. It's certainly risky at times too. And I also think too, there's that push pull with women where, we do have kids. And so our attention is divided, and there's, a lot of chat around how to mother. And there's no, I personally think there's no one way to do, marriage, motherhood, or anything. I think you find out how it works for you and your family. And like, so for me, I want my kids to see me doing things. I want my daughter to see, like, you can do whatever you want to do.
Right.
You don't have to just stay home, and you don't have to make choices that are always putting yourself at the bottom of the list. You can figure out a structure and a way to move forward in a life that you're in your own priority list. And I think modeling that is important. And so it's like, I can't go to everything. I'm not the mom that's at everything. There was a season and I did that, and I'm not in that season now, and I'm just really honest and talk to my kids about where I'm at or what I'm doing or why I can't be in a certain place. And
I love that.
and I think that's valuable too. And I think that's something I think as moms we don't talk about enough.
Right.
We talk a lot about all the ways we do show up, but showing up for ourselves is just as important. And I think that's maybe something I'd like to see women give themselves permission to do a little more.
That's
Great point.
And the thing too is, I mean, if you think about it too, a mother that say runs the household, they're a CEO.
100%.
You have to balance all that. So
That's
that's
right.
why for us, we always talk about empowering women to realize you are a CEO. You can do it. You multitask.
100%. It's a great training ground for trying to juggle things.
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone the other day whose husband is choosing, because her career is going really well, and her husband's choosing to be a stay-home dad. And it was really funny to see this, like, again, to just different psyche. He's like, this is a lot of work, and this and there is a dialogue about the unpaid, stay-home mom work, which should be acknowledged. But I thought, how funny. When it was a dad staying home, everyone's like, well, yeah, that makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is hilarious. Even in this realm, it was still received differently. And he
Right.
walked out of his career because it was the one that was, it made the most sense. So I thought that was funny.
I love that. And entrepreneurship really flows nicely with your motherhood, because sometimes when people take maternity leave, they don't return back to that position that they were in for
Yeah, that's
years.
true.
Maybe they want to take an extended maternity leave. They leave that company, and now this room for creativity, this room for entrepreneurship opens. And it's like you can use that with the tools that you learned from your past careers, but your new business could be completely different than what you did for, 10, 15, 20 years.
I think too, as female entrepreneurs, we create spaces for our team to experience motherhood and working differently. Like I know we do. So one of our team wanted to stay home with her child. So we created a completely work from home. So she's been working from home for 2 years. We've had other people where we modify what they're doing so they could sit down more, or, we have people that we have someone who has a 5-month-old, and the baby is at every meeting. She works from home mostly, but she comes with her, and we're passing her around, and, dog and pony show to keep her happy. And we're super happy to do that. So it's like, just like, you can see, like, everything is individual, right? Like we approach our treatments that way. We don't have like set packages because we really want to make things work for people. But that's true. I think you could just, again, this is such a natural extension of how we as a management team think about things, where it's like, we can within our work, create it however we want, however it works for us and however it works for our team. We can build it however we want. And so I think it's nice to be able to do that, have the freedom to do that, and support your team in a different way, and be able to modify things to fit their lifestyles when things are happening that requires them to do.
That's amazing. And so not only 4 Moons, I mean, you have a product line coming out as well.
Me too. Yeah. So we've been visioning that for a long time, which is really exciting. So that, again, was everything we're due is like such an organic evolution. But during COVID, we went from seeing everybody as in person to we can't do anything, and everyone would be like, "Can we sneak in, please?" We can't. If we could, we would love to do that. But we just started thinking, like, how can we still support people? How can we still support our community? And so at that time, it was a lot of free online things and dropping off care packages to people's houses and things like that. But it really started us thinking, one, it serves 2 purposes. One, it allows us to create products that the ethos behind it is really to ritualize your daily routine, to make everyday moments more mindful and more magic, and bring some of the spa magic into your house and your daily routines. And because again, like I was thinking, I was in a mastermind and he was like, this is how your morning routine has to look, otherwise basically the message was you won't be successful if you don't copy my strategy. It's very interesting strategy. I thought, this is a mindhead club, not a mastermind, because the mastermind you should be all thinking for yourselves, right? And so I just thought, at this season in my life, you always have to be with what is, right? Everything starts from the reality of where you are. And I thought, at this season in my life, I don't have 30 minutes in the morning to sit. It's just not realistic. I have a business. At that time, my mom was sick and dying, and I have kids. I was like, I don't need one more thing to feel bad about. But I do brush my teeth every day. I do have a morning ritual that I'm deeply committed to that modifies. And so the products were really kind of born out of those two things, like out of us saying, like, we have to get this into people's hands. And again, this experience of like, different seasons ask different things of us. And so anyway, we're really excited about them. I think they're really beautiful. We're working with artisans, to hand make things. We grow some of the elements here and, distill oil and, just do all kinds of things to make them really special and magic, and hope people will really like them.
Smells amazing in here. So,
Are they already in production? Or are they already for
We're
sale?
launching with a retail partner called 13 Moon in LA. I don't know if you know them. They're
Wow.
a really great group. And so we're launching them there in June. So it'll kind of be our big launch. We've been testing them. So we started making them, again, very rootsy. So we were producing everything ourselves and just putting them, but putting them in the boutique and utilizing some of the oils and things and services and treatments. And, our guests are almost like a giant focus group for us. And we're so close to our people. Like, one of our brand pillars is to be relational with people, not transactional. And so we're sort of co-creating with our group, right? So it's like, here are these candles. What do people respond to? Here are the teas. What do people respond to? Here are the fragrance profiles. And so we're starting with candles and incense and teas and bath soaks and journals.
I want all of it.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
we're like, later in fall, we have another, like a phase 2 drop coming at the end of the summer with some additional things. And then from there we'll grow. Oh, and robes. We made these really beautiful robes.
Really?
Have you seen them?
No, but that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
A beautiful robe, especially
It
like
really
having
does.
the 4 moons in your own home. That makes a huge difference.
I hand illustrated all of the illustrations. So we have all of our products kind of resonate with the energy of the sun or the moon. And so we have a light colored robe and a dark colored robe. And the idea is it's like you're wrapping yourself in all these blessings and protections and things on it. So it's got all these like mantras and blessings and drawings all over them. So they're really fun. It's a great.
We could have wore the robes for the
I
podcast. Oh, that's
know.
and so right now you're going to sell it at the retail.
Yeah. So they'll be in our physical boutique and our online boutique, and
Okay.
then with our retail partner. And that's kind of where we're starting. And we'll probably have a couple local partners as
Great.
well, and then go from there. And we're hoping our retail partner has some very cool expansion plans, including going to Africa and Europe. And so we're hoping to join them on that journey too. I'm excited to be in Africa again. That feels
Very
really like a
exciting.
full circle moment,
It really is. So then as far as 4 moons go, I mean, you've done already so much, but obviously the mission isn't complete. You're still creating. I mean, this room is going to be an amazing area to be able to facilitate different events here as well. What's kind of the goal for the next, year, 3 years, 5 years for 4 moons?
So I think the next, year to year and a half is getting phase 1 and phase 2 of the products out into the world and launching them. We just redid our website, so give me feedback if you have any. And so just really getting those products out and going. And then, we have some expansion plans where we'd like to go ultimately, maybe, no more than 4 locations, 4 moons, and maybe some partnerships with, whether it's a hotel or we did like a mini moon. And then our products, we have all kinds of, expansion ideas. Sourcing.
You call it mini moon?
Mini
I
moon.
love that. Oh, wow.
Because we would do we do all kinds of things, right? Like wellness and events. If you're in a hotel, there's limitations. And so anyway, we'll see. We have, a 3-year expansion plan that we're in the middle of trying to execute. Hopefully we do it. We'll see.
3 years is a long time. I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And especially with what you've accomplished and where you've come from. Yeah, I feel like it's going to happen in 2 years.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope. I mean, I'm all about speed. My team's always like, because I'm such a leaper. I'm like, we can do it.
You have a great team.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm super like a tiny but mighty. It's amazing what we do with how small our team is, the ones that are just in the operation side of things and the
Right.
marketing side of things. But yeah, I'm super lucky. And most of them we've been together for 10 years. So like,
Wow.
our marketing team and one of our team members worked for us when she was in high school and when she was in college, came back during the summers, and now she works for us full time in operations. And so it's really cool to have this longevity within our team and have them go along for the ride.
Well, I mean, obviously that shows great leadership all the way going from your nonprofit to what you're currently doing. I mean, you've created a culture. It's rare to see, especially now in California, to see people, employees, and really partners to be there for that long.
Yeah, I know. I feel very lucky. It's really cool. And even some of our therapists have been here for like 6 years, 8 years, and that's pretty atypical too. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you're holding events all the time. What's the best way for people to kind of get in touch with you, find Full Moons?
If they want to follow what we're doing, Instagram is great. We're and sign up for our newsletter. We're prolific there too, keeping people up to speed on what we're doing. And we're easy to find in Leucadia. Come by, hang out.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't try to hide. And it's so funny. People are always like, I drive by this and I never knew you were here. It's been like 8 years. I never knew you were here. I'm like, how? Is always my response. And some of my team's like, we kind of like that. And I'm like, no, we don't. So, but yeah, we're pretty easy to find if you're looking.
Brandon, what's going on? This is going to be our biggest deal. We can't be down.
I don't know, man. I've been trying to reach tech support for hours now. They're not responding. They said they're probably not going to get back to us for the next couple of days.
Tennessee Tech told you this was going to happen. Let's call them right now. They do the tech support, cybersecurity. They can help us.
Let's do it. All right, team. Great job. Because of Tennessee Tech, we were able to present this and close it. Good job, team. Well, again, thank you so much. Thank you for this time. This is amazing. The other thing too is you're currently doing a lot of podcasts. And
Yeah.
I mean, you have a book coming out as well.
Working on one. It's not coming out yet, but it's working on it. But I am doing a lot of podcasts over the next year. I think there was like 12 or 13 scheduled over the next
Please send those
6 months. I will. I don't know when I asked them, like, when do I don't know when they, the recording versus.
Well, we're going to beat them. We'll have this out in 2 weeks.
Yes. Oh, perfect. You're faster. I have some that are airing in August. Some that are, I'm like, wow, okay. It's all fine.
No, I mean, honestly, since the first day I met you and we constantly hear about the events that are happening in Full Moons, the love that you have for people and the love that people have for you.
Oh,
it really is amazing. I mean, I think it highly suggested watch her podcast, get her book when it's out, and come take a tour of Full Moons.
Please. Yeah, we'd love to host people. Come hang out.
This is a special space, but hearing your backstory just inspires me. Really.
Oh, thank you.
A very unique story, and it really comes full circle with what you've created here.
Oh, thank you both so much. I really appreciate you inviting me and coming all the way down here and shooting here.
What we're going to plan too is we'll have to do a recap in a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
How much has changed, because I expect a lot of growth.
I hope.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting year.
Right. Well, thank you again. If you're looking to be on the podcast sponsor, go to Heart of the Matter podcast on YouTube and Spotify. And thank you again. This is amazing.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Heart of the Matter. All right. It's official. The group's podcast incubator studios is ready. It's fixed. All we need is to soundproof the waiting area, because that's going to become an incubator where we can help businesses. We've helped 92 businesses get started with the group. We're going to kind of multiply that by having a location here and have activity here. The podcast studio here, content wall over there. So if you have products to shoot, I want you to tell your story. I do these 4 coffees intentionally with people every day because I love hearing the story. I want you to tell your story to the public. Let everyone connect with you by telling your story. You're not trying to reach 1 million people. You're trying to reach that one person that you hope you make an impact on. And the podcast is the perfect way. So we will have packages that are set up so it's turnkey, or if you just need the space, if you need guidance, whatever it is, we want to empower you. And we can't wait. A year from now, we're going to have this place full, different content, and we're going to tell everyone's story via the podcast and content. So again, looking forward to this. Reach out to me. Let's get this set up.